Enlighten us.
I don't know, but I will say this, I would like to have more than one grocery store in town, so if I'm doing something wrong, the grocery store that we have, and any price it wants to, we do have some groceries at Walmart, but they do not carry a full line of groceries. And to me, have another grocery store, would we been there?
I'm not saying we shouldn't have this one very good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, let's make sure it's real clear. This is good. What's happened here is good. We're all hearing it, and there'll be a good report on this. What happened before was people said one thing, and other people said, and we're all upset. This is good. We're talking about getting it out.
And I think we have every right to be skeptical, but you and I, we don't have a history together. And all I can tell you is from, I guess as a result of that experience, I get the feeling that we're being treated a little bit differently, not unfairly, but in the sense that there's a great deal of heightened scrutiny. And that's fine. I have no problem with that.
Why don't you talk to the past administration who was doing that underhanded stuff to bring that in, instead of our current administration that is having it out in the open? I mean, for you and Mr. Welge to be talking about underhanded stuff, I mean, I'm waiting for lightning here to strike. You guys complain about the TIF district, correct? Because you didn't use your TIF to build your property outside of town. You received that property for free from the Chester Industrial Development Corporation in the early 1990s. The city paid for all of your infrastructure. It was to be warehouse only. Then you changed it. They changed that, I can't even think what the name of it is. 4 different times for you to put your production facility in there, which then jammed up all of our infrastructure. City had to pay for it. After you built on out there, they abated your real estate taxes for 5 years. So don't sit there and say you didn't get anything for free from TIF when you got everything else for free. Okay? That land was for free. And if you want to, I mean, I've got all the documentation, or she can go get all of the paperwork from downstairs.
Let me tell you what I know about it. I think I know. First of all, the plant that we built was going to be a production.
It was not to be a production plant. According to the warranty deed, it could only be warehouse facilities.
I don't know where you're getting that.
I'm getting the information from what are those things called that they change all the time? That every time you turn around, they change. Ordinances, the ordinances. I think that one was 896 was the original ordinance number. I've got them all at home. I didn't think I'd need them tonight. But that was the first ordinance was to be a warehouse production only for you to build out there. You guys are worried about the TIF money, right?
Let's get back to the conversation.
The TIF money. This is TIF money. Okay? We don't even use any of the TIF money. They give us the TIF money.
I think, hang on. Let's get back. I think we need to get back on track.
I'd like to answer your question. Never was that building built to be just a warehouse. Never did I think of that in any concept. It was built to be a shredded wheat plant, and I was going to build it in Steelville. We already had the land. But Mayor Dirksen came to me at the time and he said, Don, we have this extra land out here.
It wasn't extra. It was Cohen land.
It's what?
It was Cohen land.
Well, whoever gave the city the land.
The city took it from the Cohen Fund.
They took it from,
They took it from the Cohen Fund, yes.
It was part of the money that Mr. Cohen had given, the land or whatever Mr. Cohen had given. And I incidentally know something about Cohen funds.
Yes, sir.
I administered the scout portion of it.
Yes, sir.
So never was there any plan that that would be a warehouse. Mayor?
That's what it says in all the minutes.
Well, I don't know. why.
1986, I think, is the first
Why don't you
one.
be quiet and let him answer?
You've got the wrong information.
Because he's not saying the
Yes,
truth.
he is.
Yes,
No,
I
he's
am.
not.
You don't know.
Yes, I do. I have read every minute. Why don't you go do that? Why do you people just blindly believe what all these people say and go and read for yourselves? Because I've read it. I will take you to it and I will show you. That is not a
I
problem.
think we need to get back on track here of what we're actually here for.
All right, well, first,
Business.
if the reason the city gave us the land is Mayor Dirksen approached me and said, Don, if you'll build the facility in Chester instead of Steelville, we will contribute the land. As far as any site improvements, that was not done by any tip money. That was done by a contribution from the Chamber of Commerce, the Chester Chamber of Commerce. Everything else, we have paid 100% for. We
You
are
pay,
building
okay.
additional facility. I promised that it would create 20 to 30 jobs. It's created over 150 jobs already. We are building on, at this present time, now back to the situation at hand.
It's a lot.
I am
It's a lot.
certainly
I got it all.
a disciple of free enterprise, and I like to see anybody come and invest in our community that wants to do so. Where my problem is when we start talking about TIF funds for a business that had no TIF funds to start. When the Reeds started some 30 years ago, first the restaurant, and about 17 years ago, the motel, there were no TIF funds available for them at all. They did it with their own after-tax dollars, their own investment, their own blood, sweat, and tears. And they built a beautiful motel. We are possibly the second or third largest customer that they have since the state has started cutting back on their travel. And we put a lot of people, our employees, when we come in for training, at their motel. We furthermore bring customers in, and we always put them at the motel. We get excellent comments from all our customers and from our employees that stay there, and from salespeople that call on us about what a quality motel that is. It is a fine motel. It's a beautiful facility. The rooms are large. The help there are very courteous and very beneficial. Have they ever been sold out? 2 or 3 times a year they may get sold out, especially when the Grand National is going on. But it's so little time that it certainly has not worked any problem on us. And we are sure that a large portion of the year, they're only partially filled. Brad's used a figure, I think, of about 50%. Now, it could be 60% one year, 40% another, but it's still around 50%.
You know, that's inaccurate, Don. It's inaccurate
No, it isn't. He
because-
just said it. It's the truth.
Well, that's true. It must be.
I'm going by Brad.
It's documented on the last meeting what his occupancy rate is, so don't say 50%. He's even admitted to 60, and you say 50.
Brad told me it was around
For this year.
80% this
This
past
year.
year.
For this year.
That's inaccurate.
Well, I'm taking Brad at his word, James.
He just said 60.
I think, James, that Brad knows a lot more about what the occupancy is than you do.
And he just said 60.
For last year, not this year.
What's this year?
It's been under 50.
It was in the minutes.
It was in the minutes.
No, it was in the minutes, 50%.
What makes you think,
For
or
this
what
year.
you and your investment group make you think there's suddenly going to be that many more people come to Chester? I've lived in Chester all my life.
So have I.
But I've lived there a lot longer than you have, and I don't think anybody would debate that. All right, now, suddenly you're going to, you've got Brad doing about 50, 60 room people per night. You're talking about your motel that has a capacity of, what, 60 rooms, something like that? Okay, so how suddenly are you going to take the number of people that are staying overnight in Chester and double that overnight? It just can't be done.
Well, we're not saying it can be done overnight.
Well, it's going to take a number of years to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And during that time, you're going to have 2 hotels operating at, in my opinion, a loss. So you're going to change one healthy business into 2 unhealthy businesses, and I don't think that's good economics.
Well,
Well, what about the economics of the school district? You're asking basically that we walk away from this project, and that...
No, I'm not asking you at all to walk away from the project. I'm also asking you to pay the full tax load, just like the Reed family did when they started.
This one,
Do
man.
they build their hotel in a blighted area?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a mobile home park.
I realize,
Yeah.
I grant you that hotel property is run down, but I don't consider that part of town a blighted area, and I think the people that live there certainly don't consider it a blighted area.
Well, the people that have set up the TIF district 14 years ago obviously disagree.
All right. The fact is, how are you going to suddenly take your business, attract all these people? Are they going to drive over from when they're going down I-55 when there's 3 new motels in Perryville area and come into your area here, drive 15 miles out of the way just to stay overnight?
Well,
Very
obviously,
unlikely.
well, the people of my hotel who know a lot more about hotels than you and I, obviously are jumping at the opportunity to put the hotel here. And they do that not because of feel-good feelings, but based upon empirical research of not just this community, but the surrounding community. And they know what's profitable, what isn't. And
How
based
many
upon,
motels do you guys operate? Not my hotel, but how many are you presently operating, functioning motels?
Sure.
Okay.
Now,
I think that pretty well resonates.
Yeah, I think that.
You're basing
that says a
this
lot.
on the hype of
The
my
franchise
hotel,
company.
the franchise company, and what makes you think that you guys got any more knowledge about this than we do? We live here. My hotel's gonna pump you all up, which they obviously have, and you build a building, and you don't operate a hotel, you got as much knowledge as I do. That's
and I'm
your-
not going to operate the hotel, I'm going to hire professional management with a number of years of experience to run the hotel. So,
The SDR report is not going to not come from my hotel, it's independent.
Microtel's function is to operate a chain of good hotels. I'm not saying anything against it, but they are a franchise company. They want to sell franchises to you and other people who are willing to invest. And if you feel that this place has the kind of potential to warrant you investing in here, fine. I think everybody in this room would like to see you invest.
yes.
But why do we, as a city, give you a break that we wouldn't give the Reed family or other businesses that have been here for a long, long time?
Well, because obviously the status quo hasn't worked very well for the city of Chester.
Well, I quarrel with that conclusion because I think Chester is one of the finest communities you can live in.
Right.
It's not a booming place, but it's certainly not going downhill either.
I didn't mean to suggest that. What I mean to suggest is status quo, given the level of most upper line that you're using now, in terms of your ability to attract businesses and develop jobs from outside this community. Obviously, if that were working very well, you would no longer have a TIF district. There wouldn't be a need for it. There's a reason you have a TIF district, and that's because there is a demonstrated need to have an incentive for groups like ours to come and develop in your community.
Well, I think it's possible that private enterprise alone can develop jobs. We've developed a lot of jobs in this area. We are the second largest employer in town, and that was that.
And you should be congratulated for that. But your experience doesn't necessarily translate across the entire economic spectrum of the city of Chester.
Excuse me, sir. Mr. Welby's company is one of the largest ones around here, and he hires a lot of people, not only in Chester, in Missouri, and all around. And then to have the business head, I wish I had his business head, and know what he knows, because he certainly knows his business, because it is expanding all the
I'm
time.
not suggesting he doesn't know his business, and obviously he's been very successful.
Yes,
And
he
I
has.
think he should be congratulated for the job that he's done in attracting jobs to this community. My point simply is that this technique of what he's speaking of is just one way of looking at things. But there are other tools available to augment the kind of work that he's doing. And you can either choose to use those tools at your disposal, and nobody's giving us money, okay? What happens is the taxes that would otherwise go to the city and the county, a portion of those are rebated. And as your council has indicated, that's something that's going to be subject to negotiation. So whether that's 25%, or 12%, or 37%, that's going to be something that's going to be negotiated. It's going to be, there'll be a contract, there'll be an agreement, it'll be publicized, it'll be a matter of public record. There's not going to be any backroom deals. There's not going to be money under the table. It's going to be above board. And the city, through its aldermen, can either choose to embrace that, or they can say, you know what, we don't want to do it.